the challenger, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing black trunks with red trim, hailing from Masbate City in the Philippines. He weighed in right at the junior featherweight limit of 122 pounds. With a record of 19 wins and 2 losses, he has 16 wins coming by way of knockout. Tonight, in his U.S. debut, he is making his first attempt at a world title and seeking his 18th consecutive victory. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the WBO World Rank Challenger, introducing Gio Santisima. And his opponent across the ring on my right, fighting out of the red corner, the defending world champion, wearing silver trunks with black trim, hailing from San Juan, Citlaltepec, Mexico. He weighed in the same as his opponent, 122 pounds. His outstanding record stands at 30 wins, 1 loss, 26 big wins coming by way of knockout. Tonight, making the 5th defense of his title, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the hard-hitting, defending WBO Junior Featherweight Champion of the World, introducing Emmanuel El Vaquero Navarrete. And our third man in the ring now to give instructions, introducing Russell Mora. First round.
Gentlemen, we went over the rules in the dressing room. I want to remind you both to protect yourself and obey my commands. God bless you both. Touch up now.
Emmanuel Navarrete won the world title on December 8th of 2018. He did so with a unanimous decision win against Isaac Dogpay, and he did it on a big stage. He was the co-feature for Vasily Lomachenko, Jose Pedraza, and he put forth pressure on Dogpay, and he really roughed him up late. He doesn't mind making a fight, a real hardened fight. He gets after it. This is a guy who had a rare 4-week turnaround for a world championship. He fought for a world title, defending a world title on August 17th, and then turned right around and fought also on a Tyson Fury undercard on September 14th. What is this, the 1950s over here with Navarrete? I love this guy, Lennox, with his attitude of wanting to be in there and simply fight.
And he's a knockout puncher as well. He throws some great punches. I was watching his last couple fights. He moves well, good ring generalship, and a good fighter.
Yeah, Navarrete likes to get you with volume. He'll put pressure on you with his feet, get in range, and let those shots go. And to Joe's point, yes, he's a throwback. Fighters don't fight like that anymore. They go to the gym for 8 to 10 and 12 weeks to get in shape. Navarrete fights to stay in shape, and there's a difference.
Fighting to stay in shape. It's funny, there are world champions in this modern era of the sport. You see them fight once a year, often twice a year. Now, obviously, the money becomes huge at a world championship level where you can get away with that. Then there's the wear and tear, but this is a guy who just wants to ply his craft.
And there's a place for that, Joe. You get to a certain point where the training camps are harder, they're longer, the fights are tougher. You don't need to be fighting 3 and 4 times a year, you know, unless you've not taken punishment in those fights. But in most cases, when you're fighting at the highest level, 2, maybe 3 times a year is probably the right antidote.
Of course, the two of you came to that point in your career where you made a certain decision, both retiring as world champions off of wins. The rematch with Dogpay came in May of 2019, and he also roughed him up down the stretch of that fight to the point where he scored a TKO, did Navarrete, in the 12th round when he had the rematch against the man that he took the belt from.
That was nice of him, giving him a rematch.
Well, the outcome wasn't nice.
No, the outcome was brutal for Dogpay. Of course, we have the ultimate rematch tonight with Wilder and Fury, the first rematch in heavyweight history between undefeated world champions.
Santisima is also a guy who he rarely takes a step backwards. He doesn't mind fighting. He's a two-fisted fighter who likes to hit the body when given the opportunity. He's yet to find his range, so he hasn't thrown very many punches at this point.
You know, he said he wants to knock out Navarrete.
He's got to get to him first.
End of one, the title defense for Emmanuel Navarrete. Of course, Deontay Wilder is looking for the 11th defense of his title. And he got a very nice visit from a guy who knows exactly what it's like to defend world champions. That is Terrence Bud Crawford, WBO welterweight champion, the former undisputed junior welterweight champion, and number 2 on the current ESPN.com pound-for-pound list, visiting with Deontay Wilder. But you can see how Wilder is constantly locking in here. He has been pacing back and forth, just keeping loose in his locker room.
He's been on his feet a lot, Joe, walking back and forth. He's not...
What do you think of that?
I mean, it's nervous energy, clearly.
Well, the other guy's not on his feet. He's hanging out on a leather couch.
Yeah, I mean, both guys prepare differently. I mean, for Deontay right now, he wants to walk around. He can't wait to get in the ring. Tyson Fury, he's resting. He says, no need to get excited too fast. I'm resting right now.
You got to save those legs because you might need them.
Tyson Fury has never seen a camera he doesn't like, always finding it, always smiling, always playing to it. Yesterday in the weigh-in, we had a comical moment when Deontay Wilder was on the same kind of couch in his locker room before they came out. And he was with his fiancée, and they were curled up, and he was resting with the sunglasses on. And Tyson Fury decided he would mock him and do the same thing with his 400-pound brother Shane, and cuddled into him. And then both guys realized they could see each other on the split screen on camera, and it went south from there, only to continue on stage and after the scale with the barbs that were thrown.
I guess that was the alternative, since they couldn't really see each other face to face or get as close as they normally would at a weigh-in. So I guess that was the alternative.
Yeah, that was the decision made after Wednesday's news conference.
Yeah, continual gamesmanship from both of them.
That's something we're going to talk about as the evening goes on, the gamesmanship between Wilder and Fury. For now, round number 2 of this WBO 122-pound championship fight. Santisima in the darker trunks, the challenger from the Philippines. He threw 19 punches in that first round. Navarrete threw 62 and landed 18 of them. .29% connect percentage for Navarrete.
I think Navarrete is fighting the right game plan right now. Very patient. He's not allowing Santisima to get settled, because when he gets settled and he gets comfortable, like I said before, he'll allow both hands to fly. He'll hit to the body, he'll hit to the head. He's very, very aggressive, so you got to touch a guy like that. You have to give him subtle movements, and Navarrete's doing that right now. He's being very patient.
There's Santisima, as he was able to land that right hand, and Navarrete covered up, and he comes forward with a 3-punch combination, including that left uppercut.
Classic move from Navarrete right there is to lean to the left, show the left uppercut, but really throw a right hand.
And Navarrete doesn't have to really go looking for Santisimo. Santisimo is coming after him. You know, he wants to get close. He wants to be able to throw punches and wants to be able to connect with those punches as well.
Start to see in the background there the crowd filling in here at the Grand Garden Arena. Show you all the celebrities as they make their entrance a little later on, prior to the heavyweight championship fight. Navarrete with the jab here. Closing moments of round 2. And of course, we will constantly monitor everything that is going on. In former world champion as a middleweight, he is a longtime Kronk fighter, and it was Andy Lee, who was first in Detroit training nearly a decade ago, who invited Tyson to come over. That's when Manny Stewart was still in his prime, prior to his illness. They spent time together with Sugar Hill Stewart, who now trains Tyson Fury. And when Tyson Fury was searching around saying, I'd like to possibly go in a new direction, it was his cousin Andy Lee, who was watching the Raps there, who said, the perfect fit would be to reunite with Kronk, and that is what he did. So Sugar Hill Stewart and Andy Lee will be in the corner of Tyson tonight.
Mark Breland, also a former Kronk fighter.
Yeah, Mark Breland, by the way, a great fighter back in the day, both as an amateur and as a pro, and he has been a critical part of the success of Deontay Wilder, along with his longtime trainer from there in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, Jay Dees. That has been an unbreakable bond for years for Wilder. A body punch comes in from the champion Navarrete. Round number 3 here.
Santisima felt that left hook to the body right there. He took a walk around the park to get a break, and Navarrete noticed it.
Navarrete finding some confidence coming forward here in round number 3. Body punches, he's been able to land 14%. That left hand hit the mark moments ago.
I like Navarrete right now. You know what he's doing. He's keeping the distance. He's being first. That means he's throwing the first punches. He's not waiting, and he's not in one standing position. He's moving around. He's being a little bit elusive. He's not being a standard target, and he's looking for his openings.
We talked about Imam earlier in the night, not giving different looks, doing the same thing over and over. And like you mentioned, Champ, Navarrete is giving so many different looks, and it's hard to get settled. It's hard to know what he's going to do. He shows you one thing, and he does another. You think he's throwing the left, he throws the right. The next thing you know, you're in a shootout with him, and then he's back on the outside using his reach. I love what he's doing. I don't think he gets enough credit for his nuance, for his skill, and for his boxing IQ.
Yeah, and he's throwing these punches at distance. He's not going in real close to throw these uppercuts. He's throwing these uppercuts from far.
And that's really a no-no in the boxing game when you're being taught, but it works for him, and he's perfected it.
Yes, it is. Usually guys come back with a good right hand after a guy throws an uppercut, but it's not easy to hit Navarrete with a right hand.
Combination here at the end of round number 3. Another left hand from Navarrete. Trying to target the right hand, and he does. Special night here in Vegas, as we have been spending the week at the MGM Grand. And there it is, where all the action is taking place, just behind that legendary casino hotel, Wilder Fury 2. By the way, they can now confirm that what is happening here tonight is breaking the record for a live gate of heavyweight boxing in the state of Nevada. They do not have the final tally yet, but they do know that they have now passed the mark of Lennox Lewis, of Vander. They have sold north of $17 million worth of tickets here at the MGM Grand Garden Arena. And there is the Hall of Fame promoter Bob Arum and Top Rank Boxing. Top Rank President Todd DeBuff making that announcement to ESPN not long ago. And give credit to both Top Rank and the PBC, as well as Fox and ESPN, of having great common sense leadership to saying, make this fight. And look at what the embraced response has been by the buying public. That is the live gate number tonight. It will be number 1 in the history of heavyweight boxing live gate in the state of Nevada. Of course, we will get those final numbers in the coming days, but it is going to be north of 17 million just inside the arena alone.
That's great news. Although they broke
You happy about
that? Although they broke my record,
You happy about that?
I'm happy. I'm happy.
Lennox Lewis,
it shows great promotion and social media.
Lennox, you are connected with history every which way, because your fight against Evander Holyfield that had the record for live gate, that was only the second heavyweight championship rematch in history after a draw. Now comes number 3 in the history of the division tonight.
Let me tell you, records are there to be broken. So there you go.
Well, you had some of the greatest, and we're happy to have you here ringside on our broadcast team. Former undisputed heavyweight champion, who will see the crowning of the guy who will be considered the heavyweight champion tonight, who will remain undefeated between Wilder and Fury. And this is the moment where the commission signs off on the most powerful weapon in sports, the right hand of Deontay Wilder. So the wrap has been approved. Wilder is now ready to be gloved up. Nevada State Athletic Commission has signed off on the wrap on that right hand. Andy Lee, who was monitoring the wrapping of Wilder's right hand for Team Fury.
Whoa.
No objection, and look at Santisima as he comes forward here in round 4 against the world champion Navarrete, who is ready to respond.
So it's like I said, now you're in a shootout all of a sudden. So you see Navarrete boxing and using his skill, and all of a sudden you're in a shootout. It's hard to get mentally settled when you're facing Navarrete.
Stop. Okay?
It's kind of like a half punch, half push as he was coming forward that time, and it gets Navarrete's attention at least.
What you see is one guy in Santisima who does one thing well. If he's in place and he has you right there, he throws good shots with both hands. And then you see Navarrete who does multiple things good. I'm going to take the guy who has more tricks up his sleeve and more tools in the toolbox.
Santisima willing to dip and go to the body, but what does he do? He eats more return fire from Navarrete.
And Navarrete is showing these nuances in his skill because he stays busy, Joe. He's an active fighter, so you have no choice but to get better when you're active.
Threw over 85 punches in this round alone, did the champion Navarrete. Our first world championship fight tonight. Joe Tessitore, Andre Ward, Lennox Lewis with you ringside. We will take it all the way through the evening to Wilder and Fury. Max Kellerman and Brian Kenny up top with Sean Porter and Tim Bradley. The former welterweight champions, Bernardo Asuno, our ringside reporter, and thrilled to have Kate Abdo and Mark Kriegel providing commentary. And our unofficial scorer ringside is Larry Hazard Sr., who has this 39-37 in favor of the champion Navarrete. And now Mark Breland is working on the left hand of Deontay Wilder. The left hand that many say needs to be in use more. If the jab could be a far more effective tool for Deontay Wilder, perhaps a more fully evolved and effective fighter. But when you have the greatest single weapon in boxing, oh boy, do you like to use it. And that is the right hand and that power.
Oh, yeah. And, you know, Deontay's got a great right hand. Everybody's looking for that right hand, but I know there's a left hook in there. There's an uppercut in there that, you know, a lot of people don't know about. And I'm sure that he wants to bring that out in this fight.
So as Wilder gets wrapped, Tyson Fury sits back and is still relaxing, flanked by his wife Paris and his family, his brothers.
Hands free. Let him go.
Watching along, see if Emmanuel Navarrete can come up with another title defense here. Santisima did have his moments in the last round, but it's been the constant work rate of Navarrete that has been controlling the action as he lunges ahead with a series of right hands. Turns southpaw for a moment. That is not a knockdown there. But look at the work rate tallied by CompuBox. Navarrete has thrown 375 punches, and now he's landed 120. Opened up that time, and filling the spot was a left hook from the Filipino Santisima, and it doesn't even stop Navarrete at all. He just keeps punching. Wide-ranging right hand, and now Navarrete is on the attack here in round number 5. He is backing up Santisima. Navarrete clubbing, touching him time and again. Left uppercut, right uppercut, body shot comes in.
Look for that left hook to the body. Santisima has taken the headshots pretty well, but the shot he hasn't taken well is the left hook to the liver from Navarrete.
This is great work rate here of the volume punching attack and the aggression of Emmanuel Navarrete. He is a fan-friendly fighter, and now wrapping up is Santisima.
Santisima is a little bit tired. He needs to really, you know, weather the storm and then come back with a combination of his own.
This has been a dominating 5th round from Emmanuel Navarrete. So after that big round, let's see what Navarrete offers up here. Round number 6 of our world title fight.
Navarrete, he's sensing it a little bit more. He feels that he's got everything in hand, and he wants to take him out in this round.
Navarrete's probably going to take half of this round off, and then you're going to see him crank it back up. Santisima is still trying to recover from what happened the last round, so he's not taking advantage of Navarrete taking this part of the round off. It's a silent agreement taking place right now. If you're going to rest, I'm going to rest.
In the corner, they are quite concerned about how Gio Santisima is feeling right now. So they really have an eye on him. Make sure that Navarrete does not hurt him here.
In that fifth round, Navarrete landed 47 punches. Santisima threw just 34 punches. That was utter domination in that fifth round by the champ.
I think if Navarrete gets it done inside the distance, it's going to be from the left hook to the body.
I think it's going to be by a whole bunch of combinations at once. You know, he's shown that he can throw a lot of different varieties of punches, and this is what he's done, and they're getting through.
It's a right hand from Navarrete. They were trying to get over the top there. 450 punches to this point. Santisima just 166. Comes to the inside. Santisima tried to time something, and now Santisima goes to the body, and there's a left hook upstairs from Navarrete.
Navarrete is a veteran. He fights when he wants to fight, and he rests when he wants to rest. But he's even learned how to rest and take a round off and still win that round with throwing minimal punches and taking minimal punishment.
Just like he's doing in this round, doing the same thing. He was definitely winded the last round.
And it is all starting with the left hand, with the jab. Navarrete would be a good case study for Fundora. Tall guy, clearly not as tall, but a guy who knows how to use his range, but also knows when to go inside when he has the advantage.
Deontay Wilder being stretched out now in his locker room. Meanwhile, Fury's walking around with a crown on his head. I think they're going through, which crown do you prefer?
He's in street clothes. Is he going to get
It's incredible. One guy has already have his hands wrapped. He's to the in arena of music here.
He's having fun before the fight.
It's all he knows.
You better lock in and get focused.
Let me tell you,
lock in and get focused.
Some guys like to get ready early and get stretched out. Some guys like to get ready late. I was one of the persons that like to get ready late. You know,
is there advantage one way or the other, or is it just a preference?
Well, it's a preference for me. I didn't like waiting around and sitting around and not doing anything. If I was doing that, I'll be sleeping. So if I was there early, then I would have time to stretch out. You know, Muhammad Ali took like 2 hours to get ready, and he did a lot of shadow boxing. He did a lot of stretching.
I always had a concern about being rushed. I knew I had a walk time. I knew the stage manager was going to come back and say, we're walking in 5 minutes. I never wanted to be ill-prepared. I wanted to have my cup on, my wraps on, be fully warm, so I always made sure I was ready ahead of time with time to spare.
Well, as somebody who travels the world with you week in and week out covering boxing, I'm well aware of how you like to be prepared well in advance, Andre Ward. It's great to have this conversation driven between a guy who was the heavyweight champion of the world and a guy who retired undefeated as the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world, Lennox Lewis and Andre Ward. What a dream team we have ringside here tonight with the two of you. Round 7 here, WBO 122-pound championship with Emmanuel Navarrete, who has been among the most active world champions in boxing. 5 title fights in just 14 months. And we mentioned it earlier, at one point last year, he had the rarest of rares, a 4-week turnaround to defend a title. He fought in mid-August, he fought in mid-September.
Navarrete showed us a different look there. He turned southpaw for a moment.
Okay, stop.
Didn't connect with any punches, but it was a good look.
Overall, he's out-connected Santisima 164-42, including 124 power punches. The best work coming in round number 5 when he had 47 connects. There's a 1-2 from the champ.
Well, this slot on this card, Joe, was not even Navarrete's initially. It was Gilberto Ramirez. And he didn't want it for whatever reason. So Navarrete said, okay, I'll take it. So that's why he's here tonight.
Well, when his phone rings, he always says yes. Now, what's interesting about the future of Navarrete, assuming he defends the title here tonight and gets through this, he has been struggling to make 122 pounds. He struggled this week. When we met with him the other day, he walks into the room. Lennox, I saw your eyes go up. He was chewing on ice cubes. That's all he was eating for about a day and a half, just chewing on ice cubes. This most likely is his final fight at 122 pounds.
Yeah, I believe that. I mean, you got to fight the weight that you're comfortable at. And if he's not comfortable there, if it's hard for him to make weight, go up.
I feel like we've said that the last 3 or 4 fights, Joe, and then he comes out here and puts on a great performance, and then he stretches it one more. That's
the difference is now is his team, his management is saying that. And then you look at the featherweight division and you consider some of the big names there and a guy who has the frame and can go up 4 pounds, but very attractive fights to be made at 126 pounds for Navarrete.
Yeah, it's no easy work at 126 for Navarrete, but great matchups, like you said.
Carl Frampton there. Josh Warrington, of course, Shakur Stevenson, who Andre Ward, you co-manage.
Gary Russell,
outstanding fighters as you go to 126 and 130 pounds.
Also a sharp dresser.
Is he ever? Coming to the end of round number 7, and that affords us the opportunity to go up to Brian Kenny and the guys.
Kellerman shut out for the entire between rounds. Joe!
and I find that greatly disappointing, so I'd love to hear what Max has to say. Max, what say you?
Deontay Wilder's the puncher. Rocky Marciano used to fall asleep in the locker room before fights, take a nap. Deontay's not thinking about anything but the job at hand. He's actually relaxed and focused. And Tyson Fury has that Ali personality. He's an extrovert. He's a showman. He's enjoying himself. These guys are authentic characters. This is who they are.
Tyson Fury is the ultimate showman, and Deontay Wilder is a fascinating personality. You'll hear that roar of Bomb Squad a little later on. And then, of course, you will see if he can deliver the ultimate bomb, and that is the eraser, the right hand. He has 41 knockouts, the most of any current champion. Pacquiao with 39. Canelo has 36. Here we are in round number 8. Larry Hazard Sr. has it 59-55 in favor of Emmanuel Navarrete, looking for another title defense. He has been dominating the action so far, with the exception of round number 4, when we saw Santisima land that left hook to the neck and the side of the head of Navarrete.
Not to take away from this fight, Joe, but the more that this arena starts to fill up, you start to feel the suspense and the anticipation of the main event. It's tangible. You feel it in the air that we have a big mega fight on our hands tonight.
Well, let's add that up the right way there as we include round 7 there. I just took a glance at 69-64 with Larry Hazard Sr.'s score there. You're absolutely right, Dre. You can sense it, and you can sense it building all week long. And we will still have the heavyweight title eliminator, and then there's going to be a very special ceremony tonight prior to the main event to celebrate the great legacy of all-time legendary heavyweight champions who are joining us here live ringside. Of course, we have one as our broadcast partner, Lennox Lewis and Andre Ward ringside with us here.
I think Navarrete needs to get back to hitting the body of Santisima. That's when he's had his best success, or at least visibly. He's hurt Santisima with headshots, but the left hooks to the body are that's what's jumped out at me the most, and I think he needs to get back there to try to get this stoppage win tonight.
Well, he also has to watch out for Santisima.
Yeah.
Left hook, especially when he comes in close, because that's the first punch he's throwing.
End of 8. Navarrete remains in. Get serious.
Yeah.
All the joking is done.
That's that switch I told you about earlier. The great ones know how to turn it on and turn it off.
Well, I used to not allow a camera in my dressing room. I didn't want people to know what I was up to.
Here's what I find fascinating, speaking of not allowing cameras. Tyson Fury is very media friendly. He loves giving interviews. He loves giving access, with the exception of during this camp, he did not allow access for his sparring. Nobody has any film footage or video footage or any reports on what was happening in sparring with Tyson Fury.
Yeah, I understand it. I respect it. And I don't think sparring should be showed for the whole world. I think that's a private moment where there's days where you may have a bad day. You may get exposed a little bit by a sparring partner. There may be a day, most days should be in your favor, but that's not really for the public's eye. You want to keep people guessing. There's been rumors coming out of, I don't want to say out of Camp Fury, but just swirling about the cut and maybe not training properly because of the cut and having to, let sparring partners only hit the body. He's keeping Deontay Wilder guessing. What you don't know, you have to wonder about. So I think it's a great strategy, and I think it's a good thing for Team Fury.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be able to turn it on and turn it off. And then if you're in there sparring, obviously you're working on certain stuff that you don't want to make the other team aware of. So I understand that completely.
Nothing wrong with what Tyson Fury did for this training camp. I said Navarrete was taking a round off maybe 2 or 3 rounds ago, but I think he's taken off the last 2 or 3 rounds. I think he needs to get back to what was working, the jab, the combinations to the head with the hard shots to the body. Because Santisima has basically conceded to do whatever it is that Navarrete wants to do.
Navarrete, and you haven't noticed, but has turned to southpaw a couple times and threw a right jab and been successful with it.
And he switches from right-handed to left-handed seamlessly.
He does. On the attack, if it's there, he'll take it. He has no problem with making that transition orthodox to southpaw in motion based on how the punches are coming.
It's not by the book, but it works for him.
Santisima's, he's receiving these shots, he's blocking them, but he's not answering. He's not coming back with his own shots, which he should. He's waiting for that perfect time to throw that perfect punch. Sometimes it's not there.
If Santisima's going to have a shot, he's got to let his hands go.
Big night here in Vegas, our first world title fight. We have the heavyweight eliminator and then the big one, Wilder Fury, which means all the celebrities will be coming out. And believe it or not, many have arrived early here to the MGM Grand Garden of Thrones. We have boxing luminaries, NBA players, NFL players, and Magic Johnson has just arrived.
Great to see you, man.
There is something about these two undefeated heavyweights, something about this mega promotion that really brings us back to the last, most recent golden era of the big Vegas heavyweight fights of Lennox and Iron Mike and Holyfield and Bo. There is Wilder now, continuing to stretch out, eyes closed. He has been so focused since the moment he made his walk-in, worked his way through the crowd, got to the locker room, was wrapped up early, and he has continued on for the better part of the last 15 to 20 minutes with his stretching routine.
And Joe, speaking of hand wraps, if you see Navarrete shaking that right hand, it's not particularly injured, but his cornerman Pedro Navarrete told me the hand wrap was loose, and that's why he's not able to flick it the way he usually does.
And that's the last thing that a fighter wants to feel, is that the wrap isn't the way he prefers it.
Yeah, I've never heard of a wrap being too loose. I've certainly heard of a wrap being too tight.
Yes.
This is the first for me.
Yeah, I mean, if the wrap's too tight, then as the fight goes on, it loosens up. And if a wrap's too loose, I guess as the fight goes on, it loosens up.
What does that do in terms of just your overall feel, your overall comfort as a fighter when you say to yourself, this isn't the way it's supposed to be. Something's off with the way this wrap is. And now you see him going southpaw. So the right hand is now his lead jab hand. As he turns southpaw, goes back to orthodox, of course, and gets a combination. But he has been switching stances a bit here.
Yeah,
and now a combination on the inside. And you can see the tape is actually loose on Santisima. Some good work here in round number 10 by Navarrete.
He needs to finish to the body. Headshots are good, but he needs to finish downstairs with that left hook to the body, just like that.
Look at this attack by Navarrete, and every so often Santisima is trying to place a punch between punches, but it has been a tidal wave of offense here in round number 10 all of a sudden from Navarrete.
And I say that because Santisima can take a good headshot. Sometimes guys can take it to the head all night long, but sometimes they can't take it to the body. The only shot that Santisima reacts from is the left hook to the liver.
You're right, and it's affected him. It's affected him in the way that he's, he wants to hold right now because
he
he's
covers
tired.
up every time.
Yeah.
That was a desperate right hand from Santisima right there.
That was a big 10th round from Navarrete. Through 90-plus punches.
He doesn't really want anybody to know.
Now, the report that was given to Bernardo Osuna is that it's an issue with the wrap, but perhaps they're not giving it fully here, and perhaps there is an injury, but clearly affected.
Yeah, I mean, to your point last round, how does it feel? It's a nuisance. It's annoying. You want everything to be right when you're in a boxing ring, so to feel a wrap loose, and again, I've never heard of this. I normally hear about a wrap being too tight, but either way, it's something that's not right. It's annoying, but if there's no pain there, Navarrete has to buckle down and close the show and not worry about the right hand. Unless that wrap is so loose where it's not protecting his hand anymore, he needs to lock in, like I said, and find a way around it. Good body shot right there from Santisima.
There have been times where Santisima has found just enough of a crevice between punches, and now he tries to come over the top with the right hand, just missed there. That was blocked away from Navarrete. Santisima willing here in round number 11. And look at Navarrete now with his elbow up on the top rope before he comes out at the Filipino challenger.
That left hook a few seconds ago hurt Santisima.
Yeah, he's still squinting from it.
And Navarrete sees Santisima affected. You can tell. Yeah. And there's a headshot. Santisima, he is compromised here in round number 11. Navarrete on the charge, trying to place a short uppercut on the inside. Combination punching upstairs. Uppercut, body shot came in with a left hand. Runs to him to close the gap. Can he close the show here in style? Round number 11, trying to defend his title one more time. Santisima's so game. He actually ducked through the blue and white rope for a moment there. Strafing attack to the head. Coming down and wrapping up as Santisima, but he can't hold back from the Mexican world champion.
And the referee is very close to the...
And now tying up so awkwardly that he throws Navarrete into that top rope. Clearly damaged is Santisima. Can Navarrete finish things off here in round number 11? Russell Morris giving it a look. There it is. TKO victory. Emmanuel Navarrete.
Yeah, the ref was really close to it. He was looking to see what was going on. And I knew he was going to step in and stop the fight right there.